They said there was no room in the house. Sent me to sleep in the garage. I thought it was a joke. But then I saw the bed, blanket, and even an alarm clock on the wall. My wife went to bed in the house, and I could hear them laughing through the wall. Look, I never thought I'd be writing this, but here I am at 2 a.m. sitting on a garage floor that smells like motor oil and old paint cans, trying to figure out what the hell just happened to my life. So my wife Delilah and I have been married for 3 years. Things aren't perfect, but we're working on it, you know? Her mom Beatrice has always been challenging. The woman has opinions about everything, from the way I chew my food to the brand of socks I wear. But I figured, hey, she's family now, right? Last month, Delilah suggested we visit her parents for a long weekend. Their house is this massive colonial thing with 5 bedrooms, so I thought, cool, we'll have plenty of space. We packed our bags, drove 4 hours through the worst traffic I've ever seen, and finally pulled into their circular driveway. The moment I stepped out of the car, Beatrice was there with her arms crossed, looking me up and down like I was some kind of stray dog that wandered onto her property. Well, she said, looks like someone's been eating well. I'm not even that big. Maybe 6 feet 2 inches, probably 220 pounds. Yeah, I've got a dad bod, but come on. Dinner was this weird formal affair where Beatrice kept making little comments. Oh, Marcus, you might want to go easy on the potatoes, and I hope you brought loose-fitting pajamas because our guest room bed is quite narrow. Delilah just sat there picking at her salad, not saying a word. Her dad Roger seemed nice enough, but he had this defeated look like he'd given up fighting battles a long time ago. After dinner, I was feeling pretty uncomfortable but figured I'd just power through the weekend. Then Beatrice dropped the bomb. Marcus, dear, I'm afraid there's been a little mix-up with the rooms, she said with this fake sweet smile. It turns out we don't have space for you in the house after all. But don't worry. We've set up a lovely little space for you in the garage. It has everything you need. I actually laughed. I thought she was kidding. Good one, Beatrice. You really had me going there for a second. But nobody else was laughing. Delilah was suddenly very interested in her coffee cup. Roger was fidgeting with his napkin. And Beatrice just stood there with that same plastic smile. I'm not joking, Marcus. The garage is quite comfortable. We use it for overflow guests all the time. That's when it hit me. She was dead serious. I looked at Delilah, waiting for her to jump in and defend me, to tell her mother this was insane. Instead, she just shrugged and said, maybe it'll be fun, like camping. Camping. In a garage. While my wife sleeps in a king-size bed in the climate-controlled house. So here I am, writing this on my phone while sitting on what I can only describe as a camping cot that's probably older than I am. There's a thin blanket that smells like mothballs, a pillow that's flatter than roadkill, and yes, there's actually an alarm clock hanging on the wall, one of those old-school ones that ticks so loud I might never sleep again. The best part? The walls are thin enough that I can hear them in the living room, and I swear I heard Beatrice say something like, well, that was easier than I thought, followed by what sounded like genuine laughter. Even Delilah's voice was in there somewhere. I don't know what to do here, Reddit. Part of me wants to pack up and drive home right now, but I don't want to cause a scene. Another part of me thinks maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe this really is normal for them? But honestly, sitting here surrounded by garden tools and Christmas decorations, I feel like I'm being punished for something I didn't even do. Is this normal? Am I crazy for feeling humiliated? Should I just suck it up for the weekend or stand up for myself? Update. Holy shit, you guys. I didn't expect this to blow up like it did. Your comments gave me the courage to actually do something about this situation, and man, did things escalate quickly. So Saturday morning, I woke up to the lovely sound of Beatrice starting her car at 6 a.m. Apparently, she had to run errands, but somehow forgot to mention that the garage door opens right next to where I was sleeping. Nothing like exhaust fumes and the grinding of an old garage door motor to start your day, right? I stumbled into the house looking like I'd been hit by a truck. My back was killing me from that joke of a cot. My clothes were wrinkled from sleeping in them, and I probably smelled like a combination of motor oil and defeat. Delilah was at the kitchen table looking fresh as a daisy in her silk pajamas, sipping coffee and scrolling through her phone. She looked up at me and had the audacity to ask, "How did you sleep, honey?" That's when I lost it. Not yelling lost it, but more like a dam breaking. I sat down across from her and said, "Delilah, we need to talk. Right now." She got this deer-in-headlights look and immediately went defensive. "Marcus, don't make this into a big thing. It's just one weekend." "Just one weekend?" I said. "Your mother literally made me sleep in the garage like some kind of unwanted pet." and you went along with it. How's that okay? That's when Roger walked in wearing a ratty bathrobe and looking like he hadn't slept either. He poured himself coffee and sat down, and for a moment nobody said anything. Finally, Roger spoke up. Son, I owe you an apology. Delilah and I both looked at him, surprised. This garage thing, it's not normal. Beatrice does this to people she doesn't like. She did it to Delilah's last boyfriend too. And my brother when he visited 2 years ago. Hell, she tried to make the meter reader sleep out there once when he had to stay late to fix something. Delilah's face went white. Dad, that's not. Mom doesn't. Oh, she does, Roger continued. And I've been too much of a coward to stand up to her about it. But watching you shuffle around this morning, son, looking like you spent the night in a prison cell, that's not right. That's not how we treat family. Just then, Beatrice walked in with her arms full of shopping bags, humming some tune like she didn't have a care in the world. She took one look at our faces and immediately went on the attack. Well, this looks serious. What's everyone so glum about? Roger stood up, and I swear this was the first time I'd seen him look like he had a backbone. Beatrice, we need to talk about this garage situation. Her whole demeanor changed instantly. The fake sweetness disappeared and was replaced by this cold, calculated look. The garage situation? What about it? I provided a perfectly adequate sleeping arrangement for our guest. Guest? I said, standing up too. I'm your daughter's husband. I'm family. You wouldn't make your own family sleep in the garage. Beatrice looked me dead in the eye and said, You're not my family. You're someone my daughter settled for. The room went dead silent. Even Delilah gasped. But Roger, man, Roger surprised everyone. He walked over to his wife and said very quietly, Beatrice, you apologize to Marcus right now, or you can sleep in the garage tonight. And tomorrow. And every night until you figure out how to treat people with basic human decency. I've never seen a woman's face change colors so fast. She went from white to red to purple in about 3 seconds. But for the first time since I'd known her, Beatrice was speechless. Delilah finally found her voice. Mom, Marcus is my husband. If you can't respect him, then maybe we should just go home. That seemed to shake Beatrice out of her shock. She started backpedaling fast, saying she was just joking, that she didn't mean anything by it, that of course I was welcome in the house. But the damage was done. We ended up leaving that afternoon. The car ride home was tense. Delilah kept apologizing, but I could tell she was also embarrassed and maybe a little angry that I'd made a scene. We didn't talk much for the rest of the weekend. But here's the thing. I'm not sorry I stood up for myself. And I'm definitely not sorry that Roger finally grew a spine. Sometimes you have to draw a line in the sand, even if it makes people uncomfortable. Update 2. Okay, this is getting wild. It's been 2 weeks since the garage incident, and you're not going to believe what's happened since then. So Delilah and I have been having some pretty intense conversations about boundaries and respect and all that heavy relationship stuff. She admitted that she knew her mom was being unreasonable, but she'd gotten so used to just going along with Beatrice's behavior that she didn't even think about how it would affect me. We decided to take a break from visiting her parents while we figured things out. But apparently Roger had other plans. Last Tuesday, Delilah got a call from her dad. He was calling from a hotel. Turns out, the garage incident was the final straw for him too. He told Beatrice that if she ever treated another guest, family or otherwise, the way she treated me, he was done. She apparently laughed and said something like, You don't have the guts to leave me, Roger. You never have. Well, she was wrong. Roger packed a bag that night and drove to a hotel downtown. He's been there ever since. Delilah was freaking out, thinking it was somehow our fault, but Roger assured her it wasn't. He said the garage thing just made him realize he'd been enabling Beatrice's behavior for years, and he was tired of being married to someone who got off on humiliating people. But here's where it gets really crazy. Yesterday, Beatrice showed up at our house, unannounced. At 7 p.m., Delilah answered the door, and there she was, standing on our porch with suitcases and tears streaming down her face. I don't know where else to go, she said. Roger changed the locks. He won't answer my calls. I think he's serious this time. Delilah looked at me, and I could see she was torn. Part of her wanted to help her mom, but part of her was remembering the garage incident and everything that led up to it. I made the decision for both of us. I walked to the door and said, Beatrice, I'm sorry you're going through this, but you can't stay here. She looked at me like I'd slapped her. Excuse me. You heard me. You made it very clear that I'm not family. You humiliated me in front of my wife and her father. You treated me like garbage and expected me to just take it. So no, you can't stay in my house. That's when she completely lost it. Started screaming about how ungrateful I was, how she'd given me a place to sleep, and I was being dramatic, how I was turning her daughter against her. The whole neighborhood probably heard her. Delilah stepped forward and put her hand on my arm. For a second, I thought she was going to side with her mom. Instead, she looked at Beatrice and said, "Mom, Marcus is right. You need to leave." Beatrice's face crumpled. She looked between us like she couldn't believe what was happening. "You're choosing him over your own mother?" "I'm choosing to be married to someone who treats people with respect," Delilah said. "Something you could learn from." We gave her the number for a decent hotel nearby and closed the door. She sat in our driveway for almost an hour, probably hoping we'd change our minds. We didn't. The next morning, Roger called. He'd heard about Beatrice showing up at our place and wanted to apologize again. But he also had some news. He'd contacted a lawyer and was starting divorce proceedings. After 28 years of marriage, he was done. "That garage thing," he said, "it wasn't just about you, Marcus. It was about the fact that my wife gets genuine pleasure from making people feel small. I can't be married to someone like that anymore." So here we are. Delilah and I are closer than we've been in months. Roger is staying in his hotel room, but seems happier than I've ever seen him. And Beatrice, well, last I heard she was staying with her sister 3 states away, telling anyone who'll listen about how her ungrateful family abandoned her. The funny thing is, I don't feel bad about any of it. Yeah, it sucks that a family got broken up, but honestly, some families are already broken. They just keep pretending they're not. Sometimes it takes something as simple as a garage sleeping arrangement to show everyone what's really going on. Roger and I have been texting pretty regularly. He thanked me for giving him the push he needed to stand up for himself. We're planning to grab beers next weekend, at a place with comfortable seating, obviously. As for Delilah and me, we're working through some stuff, but we're doing it together. She's been amazing through all of this, and I think she's finally seeing her mom for who she really is. It's not easy, but it's honest. And you know what? I'm sleeping in my own bed every night, in my own house, with my wife beside me and my dignity intact. Sometimes that's all you can ask for. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. Sometimes you need a bunch of strangers on the internet to tell you that you're not crazy, that your feelings are valid, and that you deserve better. I couldn't have stood up for myself without all of you cheering me on. Oh, and for anyone wondering, I still have nightmares about that ticking alarm clock.